The Vince Russo Bullshit Hour continues. I'm John Retlin with a retro review of WCW Nitro from May 29, 2000. We're on the road to the Great American Bash 2000, and then things go to shit, and then really go to shit at Bash at the Beach 2000. Fucking Christ, why'd I agree to do this? Look, there are some positives among all the crap in WCW 2000. Unfortunately, it's about 15% crap and about 2,000% bullshit thanks to Vince Russo's haphazard bullshit booking and the fact that everybody was just there to collect a paycheck. And none of the segments made sense, and any of the cohesion they tried to have was fucking ridiculous and fucking revolting. And there were really bad storylines going on. It was like a bad Jerry Springer episode. So, a Jerry Springer episode just without the really high ratings. So, we're continuing with the Flair family drama. Ric Flair yells at his at-the-time wife. I didn't catch her name. It's not really important. And Reed to stay in the limo. Suddenly, Russo and Bischoff security show up and kidnap them. Just on camera. Nobody calls the police. Nobody nothing. They just decide to kidnap them and take them inside. And then Nash is a world champion. Here's Scott Steiner. He talks about how Scott helped him become world champion. And then says, oh, hey, Scott Hall's been training. He's been getting better. And then calls out Ric Flair. Says, you never lost a title. Here, take the world title. So that's like the 20th world title change we've had already. I mean, I think I'm kidding. I think it's more around 12. But still, the WCW title got tossed around more than a joint at a college party. It was absolutely baffling how many people were world champion in 2000. I mean, even WWE did a lot, but they did a lot more in 1999. And oh wait, Russo was booking then too. So, Flair's a champion now. Then here's Jarrett. He was never the chosen one. He then, gets berated by Scott Steiner. That Scott Steiner says, Jarrett, you can kiss my ass. Jeff Jarrett was a perennial mid-carder, was never meant to be a main eventer, was never any good as a main eventer, whether it was WCW or TNA or any of that stuff. Jeff Jarrett should have never been anywhere near the main event scene. He wasn't even as good as Triple H was at his peak, where Triple H could work with the top guy, but Jeff Jarrett just couldn't. So then Jarrett says, hey, Flair, how about you face me for the world title? Because we haven't seen that already about 5 million times. By the way, this talking segment went on for about 20 minutes. And I complain about, shows now having 20-minute talking segments, if not longer ones. Now Russo calls David out. Because Russo's out there on the stage. Suddenly Russo says, David, come out here. Here's Reed and his stepmom. And then Rick, runs there and tries to attack and stuff like that. And the security keeps falling down because this is when they had that ramp to the ring. And oh boy. Suddenly a gas truck shows up. Vampiro's there because Human Torch match. Let's set people on fire. Pyro, Vampiro Maniac. That's what some people were calling him. Idiots, but you know what? It would have been a funny line if an idiot hadn't said it. So the filthy animals are here. Why was Disco ever employed in a wrestling company? The guy was rotten in the ring, rotten on the goddamn mic. Oh wait, he was a Russo boy. That's the only reason why he was ever employed in WCW past, past his sale date, which was about 2 days after his gimmick debuted. So here we have Chavo and Disco Lumberjack match. This match went 3 minutes, tops. They also had Major Guns, Low Blow, Rey Mysterio, and suddenly Tigress, one of the former Nitro girls, even though they were talking about the Nitro girls like they were still a thing and not just separated. So I don't recall seeing the Nitro girls all that much. They did get them involved in storylines. Made me miss Spice because I always liked Spice. But yeah, she attacks Major Guns and we're getting a cat fight, hooray. This show has gone off the goddamn rails already. And there were some good moments, or there have been some good moments in some of the episodes and even some train wreck moments. And this was just bad television all around because it was car crash mentality. It was just crap. Any of the good was just sunk to the bottom while the bad continued to float up like a goddamn turd you just couldn't flush. So then Imperial interview. It's interrupted by Chronic. They're beating up Horace, and then Palumbo and Stasiak, who are suddenly a team, show up and start beating up Chronic. Then Miss Hancock comes out and does a dance, lets her hair down and everything. So Stacy Keibler fans will love this, but then Chris Candido interrupts. And then suddenly David Flair sees this and decides to leave Russo with Reed and David's stepmom and says, oh wait, let me go to the ring. He attacks Candido and then takes Miss Hancock away. This would thus begin a relationship, an on-screen relationship with them, or maybe a real-life relationship. I don't actually know if they dated. Nothing against them if they did. Good for them. Hope the kids are happy. I know they aren't together anymore. But, yeah, this is when everybody was getting involved in relationships and a whole bunch of crap. And Kimberly cannot act for shit. Kimberly cannot act for shit. It is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, Rick also attacked David Flair during this segment, that earlier segment. But Kimberly then yells on the phone about stuff being packed away, all of DDP's stuff being packed away because they were doing the on-screen divorce at the time. I think they actually were divorcing at this point. But it was amicable, apparently. This played it up on TV, which, I mean, wrestling never does that. Also, G.I. Bro challenges Stasiak for a boot camp match at Great American Bash. G.I. Bro, by the way, is the alter ego of Booker T. You know, where he's all in camo stuff and everything. It's where Tropic Thunder got its inspiration, I imagine. He takes on Mike Awesome in an ambulance match. About a couple minutes in, they battle to the ramp. DDP helps double choke slam Awesome through a table off the stage, and then throws him in the ambulance. Mike Awesome keeps losing ambulance matches. They already cooled him off way down to ice cold, almost sub-zero material and temperatures by the time from like his debut just a couple months before. Not even a couple months before. He actually debuted on the reboot episode, and it was fucking crap by this point. Chronic then attacks Palumbo and Stasiak. Liz hits Palumbo lazily and then gets away. And then Goldberg shows up after Hogan had shown up. And then David has Miss Hancock backstage. We get Bischoff, Kidman, Miller yelling a lot. Horace, Kidman, Torrie are also there. And that Horace will be the special guest referee for Kidman versus Hogan, where if Hogan wins, then he gets a world title shot at Bash at the Beach 2000. Maybe they'll hold true to this, unlike when they did when Ric Flair won that Battle Royal and got a title shot at Great American Bash and then won the title like a few weeks before and then lost it and then won it. And then they were really, really goddamn rotten at this point. Hogan then says, I'll be the next champion after I beat Kidman and then win the world title at Bash at the Beach. And then he kind of chases them all off during the commercial break. We get Kevin Nash versus Tank Abbott and Rick Steiner in a handicap match. This was announced earlier during Jeff Jarrett's diatribe, but I tuned it out because Jeff Jarrett talking or wrestling is fucking boring. And then Rick Steiner falls off the ramp during the pre-match brawl. Not even a minute in, Goldberg shows up in the same city where he debuted. Okay, cool. He jackhammers Rick Steiner, calls out Tank Abbott, says, Tank Abbott, you're next. Show up in Atlanta next week. I'll beat your ass. They thought that Tank Abbott should be a world champion. By they, I mean Russo, and by they, I mean idiots. Why the fuck would anybody think that Tank Abbott should have been WCW champion? As legit as he was, as a power guy, as a guy that could hit hard in the octagon, he did not translate to wrestling at all. He did beat up the worst announcer in WCW history at one point, so that was pretty nice. But Tank Abbott in the ring, it was not good. This was not Ken Shamrock in the ring, where Ken Shamrock got it. Tank was just there. He was just there and did not translate. So, Goldberg then suddenly leaves in a random car. Apparently there were technical difficulties because you see this little ticker on the thing on the WWE Network where it says, presented its most original form due to technical difficulties. He doesn't leave in his big monster truck. He leaves in this random car that's just suddenly parked there. That's not Hogan's Charger. It's a car that Goldberg could barely fit into, and it was hilarious. Terry Funk then wants to know who he's going to face in an open challenge for the Hardcore Championship. It's Vampiro, who again arrived in the gas truck earlier. And then the ref gets beat up and slammed with a nail in the coffin. Pyro on the ramp, and Vampiro's trying to set Terry Funk on fire. They do a power slam through the announcer's table, or commentary or production table. One of those tables backstage, and then they go to the production truck. Vampiro gets a bunch of gas and sprays it out there. Great way to properly use fuel. Great fuel economy right there. And then he tries to set him on fire. Oh no, he doesn't, because Sting interrupts. And then Sting takes Terry Funk away. Not the last time that we would see Sting and Vampiro. And then we get an asylum match plug. DDP stuffs on the lawn, and two cops yell at DDP saying, hey, call your lawyer, because apparently Kimberly owns the house. I mean, the house is less wooden than Kimberly, and I know that Kimberly's probably a lovely person, but she could not act for goddamn shit on this. Then Kimberly, I don't know, which is the only right thing that she ever said in her wrestling career. Then Liz says she's sick of Kimberly, and we get chants of slut at Kimberly at the same time. Slut chants were directed at Stephanie, so at least fans were consistent in their shaming of women. I say that after knocking Kimberly's acting ability. So DDP then shows up, but he violates the restraining order. Oh no, he's handcuffed, by the way. Now keep in mind, he is handcuffed, being taken to jail. Palumbo shows up, beats up the cops. Nope, he doesn't get arrested. DDP laid out. Lex shows up in a face mask because he got his face busted open by Chuck Palumbo's big flexi Lexi bar. recently, and then saves Liz and everything, and they leaving DDP handcuffed there. Suddenly, Mike Awesome shows up, and then Karl Malone's there because they're in Salt Lake City, and fresh off of doing some very bad things. Read up on Karl Malone, you'll know what I'm talking about. Hits a diamond cutter on Mike Awesome. So once again, Mike Awesome leaves in an ambulance and then shows up a couple segments later. It makes no sense. Did he just commandeer the ambulance and take it back? Did nobody see him come back? What in the world is going on? I'm giving way too much credit to the continuity of WCW in 2000 when they barely had continuity in one single episode. And then Rick yells a lot backstage about facing Jarrett. And then we get Scott Steiner versus Shane Douglas, U.S. title Asylum match. And a couple minutes in, Shane loses to the Steiner recliner, taps out. So Shane Douglas doesn't mean anything, which in 2000 actually seemed pretty legit. Sting versus Kidman, ramp bumps. And then Vampiro hits Sting with a blowtorch can while Tori distracts the ref. And then Tori had to, go ask to reopen America and everything because she's anti-vax as well. Good job, Tori. Good job. Good job being a goddamn brainless idiot and being anti-vax. So, Hogan then shows up. Bischoff hits him with a chair. That doesn't work. Then Ernest Miller attacks and, hits Hogan with a kick, a lazy kick into a chair. They get a trash can, put Hogan's shirt in there with a gas can, and burn his shirt. And they're trying to put Sting's face in the burning trash can. And then Chronic does the save, because Chronic doesn't want to blaze yet. They wanted to take out everybody. All this was happening within the span of a few minutes, and it was just car crash shit. Jarrett versus Rick, David Flair as the ref, world title match. Oh, wait, no, it's a mess. He kept, because Reed and the stepmom got brought out, Rick kept trying to go for them and attack security. So much security is being laid. I hope the security guys got paid pretty well. Rousseau is there. Rick bleeds. Shocking. And then suddenly a new ref, Charles Robinson. He gets bumped out. Rousseau becomes the ref. Guitar, pin. There we go. That's the end of that. That's all I got to say about that. The new world champion. Jeff Jarrett becomes world champion. I believe this was his last reign as world champion because he was a 3-time champion. He would then lose it to Bash at the Beach. Would he ever regain it? I don't think he ever regained it. This show was absolute shit. Oh, and by the way, the fans threw a bunch of trash in the ring. And probably scared Russo because he was so scared about, being confronted by anything, because he's a ballless little bitch, that it was actually hilarious watching that much trash get thrown in the ring. And Rick, poor Rick, and they weren't throwing it at Rick, they were throwing it at the bullshit where it's like, we're tired of seeing this stuff. We want to see cohesion and good stuff and everything, and good and bad guys, and have some good matches, and they weren't getting that, and WCW fans were leaving in droves. Look at some of the shots there, and you'll see some goddamn empty seats. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. I'll have a Thunder review up a little bit later because guess what? I'm going to keep reviewing this stuff because WWE 2020 hasn't beaten me, and I survived WCW 2000 the first time around. I don't know how I'm going to survive it till March of 2001, but I'm going to find a way to do it. So, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.